Well, hello everybody. Sorry it's been a while. I've had a few IT problems. A very nice 3 terabyte hard drive decided to go pop. Fortunately, I managed to salvage everything and get a new one and move everything across and recover all the old data files and everything else. And this is basically a quick test, although I suspect, knowing me, I will be blatting on for too long about this. And anyway, it's hopefully to see that this works. So, very, very simply, Crusade expansion. I did the mission cards the week or two ago. This is simply the command cards and the alliances, and it's a simple tier list with my reasoning behind why things are where they are. Um, so we'll start off, and hopefully, if I get rid of that, we can now see the various cards that I'm going to put up in the corner here. So there's a nice big picture up there, and I've got the little beastie down the bottom here, which I will try and drag onto the screen as much as possible. Where is it? Can I move that up a bit? There we go. Just break everything. I think I can do that. There we go. That's a bit nicer on the eyes. So we'll go with the top one. So first card on the list, there it is, backing of the Grand Council. It's a 3/2 command card. It's generic clan. This is the new clan symbol in the new format here. So we get this nice little star in the middle. Please ignore me putting my mouse in the wrong place. It's a 1 cost unit, and it grants you M munitions and P politics, which sounds all right, really, doesn't it? The only trouble I've got is that if you go and compare that to something else, like if we look at Comstar support, if I can find it, I can't type, of course. If we look at something like that, it's a 3/3 and it costs you 1 and you pick your asset. If we look at outreach mercenary training, it's a 3/3, it's a P&T, and it's an inner sphere one. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, why does the clan one get 1 less structure? Does not seem fair at all. Useful? No, not really. Probably not going to feature in many decks. It might feature in League because the rules for munitions are different and people like that. Um, I'm a bit underwhelmed with it, to be honest. It'd be good in draft. Uh, I just don't think the clans have got the fair end of the stick here. So I would probably move this into the need support category. It's playable, maybe. It would be quite good in draft, as I said, but just doesn't feature. Okay. Right, next card up is Battle Attrition. I seem to. I'm not sure if I've lost mech smuggling. I may have misplaced 1 or 2 of these. I might have to re-come around to this. But don't worry, I'll sort it out. Battle Attrition. 0 cost, 2T, so it costs absolutely nothing. 4 armor, 2 structure. Your opponents cannot repair their units, cannot use their units' alpha strike options, and must deplete their units in order to use missiles. During his or her repair reload phase, an opponent may pay 3 resources to ignore this card's effect for that turn. Only that turn, and it reappears on the next one. That's actually quite reasonable. It's kind of like a strange arms reduction in that way, but it just limits people using their options. Alpha Strike, there's a load in League. Missiles, there's a load in League. It's everywhere. I've seen this card played and the missile rule totally abused, ignored, and the effects of this ignored as well because of the you can use your missile as 1 damage thing. I would say this card, because it says missile abilities or missile options, that option of missile 1 or 2 and adding 2 is nullified by this card. Although the designer in the game I saw went the other way. It can screw you. It's arguably playable. I think you'd want to play it in the right circumstances. I think at best, because of the restrictions or the things with Alpha Strike and missiles, it's going to be a sideboard card at best. Therefore, it's probably going to go somewhere around C. Is it better than backing of the Grand Council? Situationally, maybe. Okie dokie. Right, what have I got next? We have next up Dest Commando Sabotage. Oh, this is a monster. A 4-cost 4 politics create a command card which is scrapped when revealed. You have to pay 4 for it. Deals 2 structure damage to each opposing unit. Now, that's revealed during your normal deployment activation phase. It's not revealed during a mission, and literally you have strategically, or you've bombarded all of those missiles out there. All of those mechs out there, and done 2 to each of them. It's great against swarms, low cost, cheap units. It's great against vehicles. 2 structure is arguably, well, it's 2 times the number of mechs on the table or units opposing you. And if that's 5, then effectively that's paying 4 resources for 10 damage, which is very, very good value. I would put that somewhere in the region of probably super good. I've gone with the super good category to distinguish good, and we've got the banned and broken category at the top here. Okay. For some amazing reason, I appear to have what looks like entrenched holdings in there. So I'm going to hop to the next one, which is entropy-based warfare. 3, 4 politics, 4 tactics. Each opposing unit under construction costs 1 more resource to activate. I think if you're trying to screw somebody, then arms reduction and this, or a combination of this, could be reasonably powerful. Especially if you get it out early in the game, it can stall your opponent. In normal original BattleTech, probably harder to play because of the politics. In League, where there's virtually no buyouts on any of the units, you could slap this down and combo it with arms reduction and or maybe work stoppage and play something. Are you going to put 3 in a deck? Probably not. Is it good? Situationally, I think the trouble with tournament level stuff is that everything's so fast and so cheap that although this will have an effect, you've got to get it out and you've got to make it stick. So I'm going to put this in playable. Okay. Fast deployment is our next card. 2, 3 logistics. Scrap it when revealed. You may make 3 additional deployments this turn. As value goes, that's not bad. You know, paying 2 for 3 deployments on top of your normal 2. So that's a really good way of emptying your hand. I think you've got a plan for it. I think you need to be able to refresh your hand in League because they've banned hidden reserves. There's currently no way of doing that. I wouldn't even entertain it in League. I think in League it's probably virtually unplayable because it's all right dumping a load of stuff out, but anything that you can do that with is probably free deploy anyway. And the rest, as I said, you can't refresh your hand. Major disadvantage. So League completely blasted this. Could you play it in normal? Possibly. It's one of those cards that you pay for and you put some sort of combo out or make the deployments and tap and untap and all that kind of thing. You might be able to combo it with something like Merchant Cast and double up on the resources, or use it for extras in order to get something like a big bomb card out there. I just don't see it happening. I think if you've got a mech, it's free deploy, you're going to chuck it out there. I don't see how this is going to really speed up most of the other stuff too much. So for me, I think this is going to go into the needs support, and I'm probably going to put it after backing of the Grand Council. Okay, next card. The topic of much hot debate and arguably an errata in what is normal, for want of a better phrase. Hasty Alliance, 2/2 full politics, scrap it when it's revealed. Activate this card only if you control a unique command card. Okay, so the problem here really is that pilots are commands because of the way the keywords work. So any unique in play is practically going to get you this ticked off from the requirement point of view. And you can search your stockpile for any unique command card and put it into your command post activated at no cost. Shuffle your stockpile. So the obvious great ones to go and put are good old, where is he? Oh, I've got Ullers, not Ulrich. Ulrich Kerensky. Put him in play. He costs a horrendous 10. You can put him on the table for free. Okay, that's fine. Kai, for those of you that want to know, yes, you can do it with Kai. He is a command card, and effectively he goes into the command post, and then you reassign him to a mech. So Hasty Alliance, as it stands, is pretty crazy. The other problem is that it says command card when we're on Hasty. Let's get Hasty back here. Search your stockpile for any unique command card. And of course, the trouble there is that it's unique. So, for example, if we go and look at Comstar and look at the High Command, it's unique. You can go and pull that. The abusable one is the Kurita one, which gives everything C3, and you know, that is crazy in itself. So, Hasty Alliance. I'm gonna. All right, let's put this. League rated it so it's a unique pulling a unique, so you can't pull the Kuritas, and I think at that point it's super good. Maybe it's strong. Maybe it's earing on the edge of bannage. The idea being to boost your unique play, and let's face it, uniques don't see a lot of play, and there's no way of pulling them really, unless you go back to a limited and a few of the faffy methods. So it's a good way of pulling unique and comboing uniques. And I would hate to see it banned because I think there is a place for that, and it needs something in order to bring that into play and make that kind of deck viable. So I wouldn't want to ban it. I think it's really good. I think it gets you what you need. There are potential there, and I don't see the point in destroying a number of archetypes just because that card is a bit on the powerful side. I think the nerf that's had to pull a unique and not a command card or personality, whatever you want to call it. I hate the wording personality. But yeah, to pull that is pretty balanced and pretty strong and arguably fair. Next up, we have Heat of Battle, a 2 cost and 4 tactics card. It's a 3/2, so it's a command card. It sits there. Your attacking groups of 2 or more units can be blocked only by groups of 2 or more units. And this was clarified to say that the units basically have to be the same size. So where it says 2 or more units, it's a group. So if I attack with 3, you have to block with 3. You cannot block with 2. That was clarified with the wordings by Adam Konas. So this is a way of making sure that your opponent doesn't chump block you. But if you think of what groups attack in pairs or more than that, then C3 is very popular. This is arguably a C3 buffing card to make sure that your opponent doesn't chump block you or has to block in pairs. And to that extent, if you've got a mech advantage, then you can drop this and basically attack with pairs to tap him out, and then your final one will get through. You know, you're forcing him to block with two mechs and not four. Sorry, two mechs and not singles. For example, if I've got a group of four, you've got a group of two, I could attack with two, and you could block with one and then block my other one. So you can block both my attacks if I attack in pairs as a C3. Whereas if I attack with two and heat of battle is on the table, you have to block with two, which allows my other two straight through. So strategically played, this can actually be quite good. It never seemed to make it into C3 decks, and I never really saw it used. But I think in the right case that this could be a good card. Where am I going to put it? I'm going to put it. I think I might just drop it in good, but it's the bottom end of good, top end of playable. Maybe I need another category in here. We will see. Okay. Our next card, Heatsink Destruction. And everyone looks at this and completely discounts it because they don't read it properly. So I will read it to you carefully. It's a 0 cost 2 tactics card. Nice to see lots of cards with tactics coming out in Crusade. And it says, when you activate this card, play it on any opposing unit with at least 1 damage counter on it. Okay? Tap that unit. Now that's crazy. For 0, all it has to have is a damage counter on it, and you can tap that unit. Now, if that's a guard, tap it. It can't block anymore. Okay. So you can see that being a game end card. I mean, one of those in draft in the right circumstances could be a really, really game winner. Okay. The unit enhanced by this card now gets -X attack and gains overheat X plus X, where X is equal to its base damage. So if it's a 0-6-2, it becomes a 0-6-0 and gains overheat 2 plus 2. That's quite useful. It's going to hurt itself, but the tapping ability on Heatsink Destruction probably gets it for me into the good category. It's definitely playable. Whether it's the top end of playable, who's to say? We shall see. Okay. Right, what else have I got on here? And I'm looking at my cards that I've pulled across, and it looks like my list down the bottom isn't quite right. I'll have to amend that. We'll drag a few in. Next up, Improved Construction Facilities, a 4-cost 3/3 unit that provides logistics, and you tap it and it gives you 3 resources. Okay, it's pay now, gain later. You're paying 4 to get 3 straight away, which isn't too bad. But the fact that next turn you can tap it for another 3 gets you 6 after paying 4. And if it sticks around for that amount of turns, then you're in credit. If it sticks around another turn, you are 5 resources up. Very often used with Merchant Cast in order to put it into play. If we just have a quick look at Merchant Cast, here it is. Choose a resource card, put it into play, don't pay the cost of it. Improved Construction Facilities is a resource card. It's definitely playable. It's very good. The fact that it provides L is a nice bonus, and without Merchant Cast, it's still playable. You could put some in a deck, use it to tap those to give yourself that resource boost, and a little flavouring of logistics. It doesn't have any logistics to pay for, so you're gaining the resource as well. I'm going to put that into good. I'm going to stick it above Heat of Battle. Maybe I'll move Heat of Battle into playable. We'll see. I'm playing around with this. I'm still getting used to some of this stuff. Okie doke. Indiscriminate Terrorism is our next card up. It's a 3/5p. Scrap it when revealed. Do 5 damage to each stockpile. This scares the hell out of me because I think the card is written wrong. If it's scrapped when revealed, why has it got 3 armor and 1 structure? I think the original intent was tap it to do 5 damage to each stockpile. So it's a bit, so it can sit there and you can tap it and tap it and tap it. and then they added the scrap and forgot to take the armor and resource the armor and structure out. Which, sorry guys, quality check. You've been making card games for God knows how long on this one. You should have spotted that. It's kind of like that strategy where it's probably more effective in multiplayer, maybe in draft. It's a decent stalemate breaker. If you're slightly ahead on cards, then getting closer to the end of the game is good. Is it playable? Not really. The self damage is iffy. It could be useful in the right kind of deck. I just haven't seen it. The only thing I'd say about it is I actually love the picture. I think the picture's brilliant. I think the dude with the glasses and everything else blowing up the building is just lovely. I'd definitely put it here. I can see uses for it. I'm just not sure where they are, how they are. Okay. Next we have Isolated Forces, 5 and 7 tactics. Really did go to town on the tactics there. When you activate this card, scrap 5 cards from your stockpile. Okay. That sounds bad straight off, doesn't it? Opposing units do not untap during the untap phase. During each opponent's reload reload phase, that opponent may spend any amount of R to untap that many of his units. So let's think about this, because it's a complicated card. I take 5 damage because I scrap 5 cards from my stockpile. Okay. Opposing units do not untap. So, okay, that's fair enough. He can't untap at the moment. During each opponent's reload phase, that opponent may spend their resources to untap their units. So it's basically leaving them in a position where at most they can probably, or the best turn for them would be probably playing 2 resources and untapping their units. Spend, yeah, until this is removed. This is a permanent. It's on the table. Okay, it's a 5/1. It's arrow 4 food. But it does take control of the game. It might work in draft. It seems that you need to build something around it. I wonder if something like her hero Kurita would be similar sort of thing where you don't untap him and everything else taps. I must admit it's a bit it's a bit don't know with this one. Is it playable? Is it playable? Possibly. Does it need support? Probably. Is it virtually unplayable? Not sure. I'll stick it down there, I think, at the moment. Only because I know what I'm going to put in D. Right. Next up, we have It's a Trap. The very colourful explosion in a Skittles factory picture. It's a 3/5p subterfuge card, and it says scrap this card when it's revealed. Activate this card during your missions phase, but not during a mission. Choose an opponent. For every 2 counters above the cost of this card, choose one of his or her units. Those units attack any legal target of your choice as a single mission. Okay. It's a bit complicated, and it goes against the game rules. Because basically it's your missions phase and you're making him attack a card of your choice. It's a bit like Disguised Coordinates comboed with Treachery. And it's controlled by the number of units you can choose, which is 2 counters above the 3. But the idea with this is that you play this and it forces him to attack something of your choosing, any legal target. So you can just say, oh, go attack my munitions card. and all as a single mission. It is a mission. You can still play mission cards. So the one that this combos with wonderfully well is the wonderful dropship intercept of St. Ives, where you deplete all attacking mechs at the end of the mission. And yes, It's a Trap is a mission. Obviously, that doesn't quite work as well in League because they've got all the repair and munitions and restock and repair all of your reload. Sorry, all of your mech rubbish, which is a bit too powerful when you can scrap a think tank to gain that ability. It probably needs to be the munitions card itself and tapping it. But anyway, is It's a Trap playable? Yes, in the right circumstances. Arguably, it's great in draft. It could be a good game breaker. It's a bit like Treachery, but on your turn. And you can use that to tap out all of his blockers. I actually think I'm going to put that somewhere in about here. So it's definitely better than Entropy, whether it's probably better than Heatsink as well. So next up, Knights of the Inner Sphere. A 2-cost, 3 politics, 3 tactics, command card for Marek only, with 5 armor and 2 structure. And it says whenever an opposing unit is scrapped from play, if Knights of the Inner Sphere is untapped, you may allow that opponent to restock that unit after scrapping it. If you do so, put a chivalry counter on Knights of the Inner Sphere. All right. So every time you scrap a unit, you make your opponent restock it to put a counter on. But if he's restocking it, I'm just giving him life. That's his health, isn't it? And also it means he can draw that card. If I restock too many, he might draw it at the wrong point. Okay. And it's only an opposing unit. Tap Knights of the Inner Sphere. One of your units gets plus X attack, where X is the number of chivalry counters on Knights of the Inner Sphere. Use this ability during battle. So you can't use it to do damage to the stockpile unless they incorporate the stockpile in the blocker, because it's not battle. Okay, it's nice that you get a permanent plus X given the number of counters, but you've got to tap it, and it's a 5/2. I would never play this. The fact that I'm giving my opponent health to have a command card on the table that I've got to defend, only for him to vaporize it next turn, it's got to go into the virtually unplayable category. It really, really has. Okay. It's just... If I drew that as my rare on a Crusade booster, I would be unhappy. It's probably the best way to describe it. Okay. Next up, we have Mech Smuggling, 2/4P, and the return to hiding counters. Hiding counters was only really there in Unlimited, and they disappeared. And then somebody, maybe the guy that's got a counter fetish left the development team and came back, or they put him on something else, and he managed to get another counter-based card through. But it says, scrap when revealed, hide 1 to 5 counters. If your opponent guesses that number of counters you hid, scrap that many cards from your stockpile. Otherwise, search your stockpile for 2 mech cards and show those cards to your opponent, then put them in your hand and shuffle your stockpile. So basically, it allows you to draw up to 5 units. If the guy guesses right, then you scrap that many cards. Not great, but you can draw cards with it. It's 2, it's 4p. I don't know if anyone's going to play it. I really don't. I think there are other ways of drawing cards. Does it go into virtually unplayable? Does it go into needs support? Oh, I think I've got to put something in there. I'll stick it in there. It's not as bad as Knights of the Inner Sphere. Arguably, you could put it in needs support. But so what have we got next? Political Stranglehold. For politics, It's a Liao only. Scrap this card when revealed. Choose an opponent. During that opponent's next turn, every card he or she draws is scrapped. So that's not just the normal draw phase. If it's something like dropship site, where you've got a resource, tap it and draw a card, that gets scrapped as well. Any card goes. And it also, because it says turn, that would also result in something like a mission draw. So if we look at Superior Nav, for example, it says that 1 to 2, draw a card after the mission. Political Stranglehold would scrap that card as well. That's very good. If you can maintain it, it's even better. The trouble is that it's quite hard to maintain at 4. You need to build decks around it. You need lots of cheap free deploy type stuff. You need a method of recycling it. Good old Max and Sun Tzu, because it's a Liao card and it's subterfuge. You can play it for free each turn. The problem is getting the balance in the deck. I've never seen a deck that's managed to achieve it. You know, some play 4, some play 5. Obviously, you can't play 5 in League. Some play 3 and try and draw it. Uh, it's an awkward one to balance. I haven't seen anyone balance it. If you want to go and do it, go and do it. Try it. It's not easy. You might be able to do it in League because, as I said, there's virtually no buyouts on any of the mechs. So Political Stranglehold has got to go into the good category. It's probably up there. It's not as good as Dest. It's not as good as Hasty. It's probably better than improved construction facilities. Next, Star League Proving Grounds. It's a 2-cost, simple 4/2 armor structure, and it has 2 abilities. So far, what's not to like? Tap for a resource. Tap one of your unaffiliated units. Gets +1 armor and +1 attack. Use this ability during a mission. Unaffiliated, so you can't have. If it's in a Marek deck, you cannot tap it to boost a Marek card, a Marek mech. Of course, that's a bit of a pain, really, but you could always play the Star League. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Nice that it gives you a resource. Nice that it's 2 and nothing else. It pays for itself after 2 turns. Okay, it's not quite in the improved construction, facilities category, but +1 armor and +1 attack is quite reasonable. You would pay for that on a mission. So I would probably put this somewhere in the playable category. Maybe better than It's a Trap. No, maybe better than Heat Sink. No, maybe better than Entropy. Yeah, probably. So yeah, right. What we got next? Okay, I'm jumping around a bit on here. We have Steel Viper R&D team. This is a pretty good card for me. It's a straight 4. It's Steel Viper only. It's 2/5. It's reasonably durable, and literally it says tap, draw a card. What's not to like there? You may make an additional deployment this turn. Use this ability during your deploy phase. So it's a super booster card. Tap it, get an extra deployment, draw another card, keep going. The problem with drawing it is that you're obviously weakening your deck. You probably want 1 of these on the table. I've been in a game where someone has had 3 on the table, and I was quite happy for him to keep drawing, especially as I was winning. He basically drew himself to death with it. And the problem there is that you're probably going to put 4 of them in a deck maybe, and you only want 1 of them to stick for a bit. It's good. If you can defend it, it's even better. It might be better in League because with no buyouts, then you can tailor the deck you want. Steel Viper's got some nice stuff in the normal original game. It's a good card. I've probably got to put it up there. Steel Viper only. Simple as that. Strap Bomb. Strategic Bombardment is next. 3 4M. A 4 armor, 1 structure, 2 damage. It has 2 damage if you attack it. And it has a tap ability that says choose any resource card in play and deal 2 structure damage to it. Use this ability during your missions phase, but not during a mission. So it's a resource killer. And arguably, if you combo this with the very popular Arrow 4 battery, which deals 1 structure damage, because most resource cards have 3 structure, you can start killing resources quite quickly. If any of you saw the game where Gustav and I played big mech decks and that kind of thing, he played a strap bomb deck and it worked very well when it worked. It's a good card. Super good? Probably. If you're building a deck around it, this and Arrow 4 with enough of those in, you can literally wipe your opponent off the table because they don't get to put any resources out. No resources out means they can't put any mechs, and then you gain advantage and you just lock them down effectively. Once you've got 2 of these and 2 Arrow 4s, i.e. you can kill 2 resources a turn, the game is effectively over. Unless there is some magic turning up. So, next. Now, unfortunately, because I did this the other day quickly before my computer went wobbly, I haven't actually got a picture of Task Force Serpent uploaded. So I'm going to use one of the other ones, probably something like Icy Terrain, to simulate this. Task Force Serpent, 5, 6p, scrap the card when it's revealed, search your stockpile for up to 3 units and 2 unique command cards, show all those cards to your opponent and put them into your hand, shuffle your stockpile afterwards. Sounds nice, doesn't it? I'm paying 5 for 5 cards, I can pick 2 uniques, and unlike Hasty Alliance, which deploys them, I'm putting them in my hand. So this is where it gets crazy, and you get 3 deployees. So there are 2 combos of 2 cards. Okay, you've got the Max Liao, which is unique, which is basically plays subterfuge cards for free, and you've got his little lad Sonny. Where are we? Which is basically take a subterfuge card from your stockpile and put it into play for free. Sorry. Take it from your scrap heap, put it back in your hand, and then you've got Max that says basically play it for free. So you can go and pick those 2 with Task Force Serpent. And that works incredibly well, especially when you think about our political stranglehold that we mentioned earlier. The other 2 are Melissa in a Steiner deck, where you've got Melissa, scrap a card from your hand and return it to play. And you've got the good Dr. Ariel Reed. Okay? And the reason you choose these 2 is, 1, if you scrap Melissa, you play Melissa first. If your opponent scraps it, you put Dr. Ariel Reed down, and then you tap, and then you use her to bring Melissa back. If they then tap and get rid of Dr. Ariel Reed, you put Melissa down and get Dr. Ariel Reed back. So they can literally recycle themselves. So the only way you are ever going to get rid of them is if both of them are in play and you can kill them at the same turn. Of course, a smart player will never do that, and you've got a perpetual cycle. And this is what led to the one of the factors that led to the broken Star League deck. So, Task Force Serpent got errated to remove from the game afterwards, which makes a lot of sense. Honestly, is it still broken? Maybe just on the edge. It pulls you 2 uniques and mechs. On its own, as it is now, I'm going to put it in, and I'm using Icy Terrain because I've uploaded the wrong file. It's got to be super good. Drawing 5 cards of your choice and 2 uniques is pretty strong. Better than Hasty Alliance? Probably, because you can get 2 uniques of your choice and 3 units. It's pretty crazy. Okay. Next up, we have Temptation. A 2-cost 4T. Another T. Each opponent must attack at least once each turn that he or she can. You may deploy this card reveal and make an additional deployment. Additional deployment's nice. But basically that forces or stops a stalemate. It's quite useful in draft. However, you've got to remember that it's each opponent. So, you know, if he's got a guard and that's his only mech, you can force him to come out from guarding and attack. Fine. It's actually quite good. The downside, obviously, is that you need to attack him, which again could be a good or a bad thing. You've kind of got to have a strategy for it. In the right cases, this can be quite good. Is it as good as Treachery? No. Treachery is way better. Let's just look at Treachery. Where are we? My apologies for the Dr. Banzai. Where's Treachery? Oh, I can't spell. I really can't spell. Treachery. Here we go. Scrap when it's revealed. Choose an opponent. During that opponent's next turn, each guarding or patrolling unit attacks your stockpile if available. So Treachery is way better. Temptation is possibly playable. Is it better than Entropy Place Warfare? Is it better than Star League? It might put it somewhere in there. I think there's a bit of a cloud in there, to be honest. And there we are. And finally, we come to the Alliance cards. So I seem to have been missing Ark Royal. So just give me a second. Is it at the top? Oh, it's alphabetical, isn't it? Right. So we'll do Ark Royal first. 0 cost. A deck may contain only one alliance card. Begin the game with this card activated. Alliances are not sites and cannot be scrapped. If Ark Royal Cordon is in your deck, every wolf or unaffiliated clan card in your deck gains the Inner Sphere alignment and the Steiner affiliation. Your non-resource cards cost 0 plus 2p more to activate. So basically, this allows you to play Steiner Wolf. And there are some very nice cards in Steiner Wolf. Some of you are now thinking, right, where are the uniques? And I'm going to do uniques and pilots separately. I'm leaving this as purely command cards. So this is one of 4 alliance cards that were brought in Crusade, and literally you dig through the game at the start and you put this on the table. Thank you very much. There it is. It does give you some opportunities. The politics restriction is quite harsh, but there are a number of cards that can help you there. Thor's, Fenris's, one of the Phantoms, the D, and then you might have a hasty alliance Melissa into Ulrich with some other combinations. In the big mech deck tournament, my deck was an ARDC deck for a number of reasons. But this is pretty decent. If you can build around the politics buyout, because it's all non-resource cards, so everything is going to cost 2p extra. 2 politics. You've literally got to build around politics. If you've got a politics-focused deck, then ARDC is arguably a good card. I think there are opportunities there. I would place that in the good category. Okay. What have we got next? The Federated Commonwealth. Okay. Like ARDC, it's 0 cost. You begin with it in play. Alliances are not sites. If the Federated Commonwealth is in your deck, every Davian card in your deck gains Steiner affiliation and vice versa. Your non-resource cards cost R more to activate. Okay. So you can play Davian units, Davian cards in a Steiner deck and Steiner cards in a Davian deck. Do you know what the big problem with that is? Let's just look at the Zeus. It's got both affiliations anyway. And there are so many cards that are probably Davian with a touch of Steiner, or Steiner the other way, that this actually doesn't have any impact on the meta at the slightest. Why would you pay one extra resource to be able to put in something from a different house where arguably you've got just as good, if not a better card in the house that you're playing anyway? I often wonder if this was a misprint and it should have been R less. And if it was R less, this would possibly go into the super good stroke broken band category. As it is, paying R extra for stuff that is already there has to put it in the virtually unplayable. The only thing I can say positive about it is that it's better than Knights of the Inner Sphere. So I'm going to move it that way. Oops. Let's move those the other way around. Okay. So the Invading Clans is our next one up. Yeah, begin with it in play. Okay. If the Invading Clan is in your deck, every clan card in your deck loses all affiliations. When you assign damage during a mission, you cannot have more than 2 units deal damage to any given opposing unit, which isn't really thematic. It's not Zellbringing or single combat or any of that kind of stuff. It's just a restriction. Playable, yes. It screws over things like Martha Pride because it says all Jade Falcon in the group. Forget it, they're all gone because of the Invading Clans. The only time I've seen this really played was Chad's Big Mech deck in 2000 for Worlds, which, although it was okay, I don't actually think it's as good as it is. I don't think it's a World Championship deck. I just think it was really, really strong against Mike Bodie's deck, and it didn't work so well against the others. Where am I going to put Invading Clans? Does it need support? Is it playable? Is it playable? Yeah, but why? Why would I play it? What does it bring me? It doesn't bring me much. I'm gonna stick it. I'm gonna stick it there. And finally, in today's review, the Star League. And much like Invading Clans allows you to play all clan units, the Star League allows you to play all the Inner Sphere units and the commands and the missions and everything else for the pitiful loss of 1 initiative. So if Star League's in your deck, every Inner Sphere card in your deck loses all affiliations. You get -1 initiative. So the first thing everyone thinks of is let's go and put Kai, Champion of Solaris, in. I don't care about -1 initiative. He gives me +1 initiative. I'm now at 0. I've got tactics as well. You know, that gives me +1. Or actually, do you know what? We'll have Prince Vic. Counts as +3 initiative plus the attack, and we'll start and combo those. Let's combo those with Aris Sung, that wonderful Liao pilot who's actually really, really good. +2 initiative, +2 attack, and now we've got Kai giving 4 damage to 2 damage to everything, and big bonuses from Victor, and Aris can prevent loads of damage, and we've got an unstoppable force. And if we want to mess around, we can bring in people like Dan Allard and crazy. So yes, you can play the Star League pilot deck, which is even more powerful than the normal Davian pilot deck. But you can also play the Melissa Dr. Ariel Reed along with Theodore Karita. Not Theodore Karita. What's the other one? Takashi, isn't it? Is it Takashi? No, that's his legacy. What's the other one? Uncle it's Coordinator, isn't it? Coordinator Theodore Karita. So, what happens here? You put a unique down. Just needs a nice, cheap unique. Much like Red Jack Ryan. Steal a resource, always nice. And then counts as Theodore in play. When making deployment, each opponent, it costs them additional 0-2L. If you remember Fox 16 card wonder, that wonderful deck by Donald Lim that puts this on the table and the other guy can't deploy anything because he hasn't got logistics in play. There you go. You can basically 16 card wonder somebody straight off. And then you can always recycle everything with Melissa. You've got Red Jack Ryan in here to steal stuff. And it's absolutely bonkers. And it uses Task Force Serpent to pull the uniques and the free deploy mechs. Uh, there's a couple of variations of it I've seen. One with Sandhurst. One with one with the Lock. I've seen arms reduction and entropy based warfare versions or work stoppage versions, etc., etc. The fact that you can pull in any unique from across the inner sphere with all the combinations there are and all the powers they have, it is broken. It has been broken since conception. If the broken element is it reliably wins 70% more of games, then a Star League deck is broken. Simple as that. And that's why it's got banned. It is, unbelievably good at what it does. And now I have the dilemma of an extra card, which is bugging me, and I think I may have got just an extra card. So my entrenched holdings, which is it's a terrain, it's in a different section. I'll stick it there for anyone that's interested in entrenched holdings. So there we are. The Crusade commands. One broken one, 4, 5 very, very strong cards. Very, very strong cards in there. Definitely some good ones and some playable ones. There's a few that need a bit of help, and a few that are particularly bad. But that's my opinion. Who's to say you've got a different opinion, which you are more than welcome to. Of course, you can have a different opinion. Please look at them, decide for yourself. Don't listen to me. Play around with them, come up with some ideas, etc., etc., and use and abuse them. I certainly think that isolated forces, maybe fast deployment. There is something in there that could turn into something good. I know there's definitely a heatsink destruction deck. I'm going to stream that at some point. Maybe think about putting Heat of Battle in your C3 decks, using your Star League Proving Grounds as a bit of a buff on top of it. Remember that because it's a resource, you can always pull that with War Funds. If you're using the proper version of War Funds, not the one that only pulls an asset for League. And there you go. As I said, my opinion, prove me wrong. I'm happy for you to do it. I would encourage you to look at them, experiment, try them out, and do whatever you want with them, and not necessarily listen to me. I'm far from perfect, but that's that. These are my opinions. As simple as that. If you don't like them, prove me wrong. If you like them, then yay, follow, like the Twitch stream, like the YouTube video, etc., etc. More than happy for that to happen and to share more content with you guys. As ever, if there's stuff you want, let me know. This was a try it and make sure everything is working stream, which it does seem to be, which is great. So hopefully I'm going to come back with the final Daishi deck sometime this week. And maybe try and do a few more on the Crusade expansion tier list in order to finish that set off, and then maybe head towards Commander's Edition. That could be fun. There's a load of strange things going on there. But until then I will wish you a very good rest of your day, no matter whether it's 5 minutes or 10 hours between now and you and the end of it. Thank you for listening to my main babble as ever, and me whinging and moaning about stuff. And saying things are broken and good and bad and all the other things. I would, it is appreciated. If you want anything doing, let me know, whether it's card reviews, deck reviews, playing games, critiques, coaching, whatever. Quite happy to try and do things to keep my one listener very happy and entertained. And I will always, as ever, say, I'm done. Stick a fork in me. Look after yourselves. Take care. It's a big bad world out there. And I'll see you on another day for some more Battletech. Catch you soon. Bye.